All right, friends. So we are going to start now. Today, our session is the continuity of the last session where we discuss about the SOC fundamentals, how SOC operate, what are different kind of things which are there in SOC, like the log sources, the endpoints, the SIM solution. So today, our discussion related to cyber threats, attack methodologies, and IoCs. So I would like to just give a brief about me. As you know, my name is Salman Mushtaq Qureshi. So I have done some of the industry certifications during my career. I have done masters in IT. I have done CEH, EJPT, ISO, uh, vendor certifications, logarithm platform, and security administrator, and then some other certifications related to IT and networks. I have been working in information technology and cybersecurity for over 18 years with experience in managing security operation centers, IT infrastructure, and networks. Currently, I'm working as SOC manager at Capital Market Authority, uh, and previous roles were like SOC team lead at Saudi Investment Bank, infrastructure and security specialist at Amana Cooperative Insurance, and IT manager at Meteor Hotel. All these roles were based in Saudi Arabia. I've been here in Saudi Arabia since 2006. Okay, so let's move on to what is a cyber threat. So, a cyber or security threat, it's a malicious act that seeks to damage data, steal data, or disrupt digital life in general. Cyber attacks include threats like uh, computer viruses, um, ransomware, DOS or DDoS attacks, insider threats, phishing, web application threats, botnets. So basically, a threat, it can be in any kind of like any malicious actions which can affect your business, your work, or like we discussed before, the CIA. So confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So if anything, any one of the item is affected, so that is sort of a threat. So a threat can be physical or cyber. So here we are talking about cyber threats. So as I mentioned, some few kind of cyber threats. So let's check them in detail. So uh, how these threats, can affect our organization or any organization. So there are some risks or vulnerabilities that can cause uh, a breach, an intrusion, which can affect the ongoing operations of a company. So few of them are like unpatched computers. So it is very important for organizations to always keep their computers update. Always they have to download the latest patches. They have to look for the latest vulnerabilities, zero days attacks, or such kind of flaws in the system which are not being patched yet, or there is no what we call software available to fix those issues, to those vulnerabilities. Then attackers, they can blend attacks. They can use different techniques, different tools to launch an attack on the organization. Then another kind of risk or vulnerability is the network file shares. Usually, in organizations, people, they share data between themselves. So to share the data, they need to enable network file shares. So network file shares then provide uh, the adversaries or the attackers an opportunity to move between computer to computer. That is called lateral movement. Or they can spread viruses, trojans over the network. Ransomware is one of the good example. If you have a network share enables, and so the attacker, he can affect multiple computers in a short span of time. Then another risk from where you can have threats is email. Email is the basic need of any organization. So all the communication correspondence these days is done through email. So whenever we are receiving email, we have to be very careful. We should have some tools in place which can detect malicious emails, spam emails. Then the user should have some level of awareness to see which emails he should open, which emails he should not open, or if there are links inside the emails, or if there's an attachment with the email. So the user should be very careful on clicking on those links or opening those files. Another kind of risk can be social engineering. People or the attackers, they can use different techniques to get some basic information from the user. Based on that, they can prepare their attack. And then the last thing is internet downloads. So most of the users still in these days, when I observe logs from our networks, I see many users still. It's like they are very basic knowledge about uh, the security or awareness. So they are visiting multiple websites without knowing that these websites are malicious. They there are malwares on these websites, or these websites have been compromised. So if you don't have right tools in place, you are exposed to risk. Next, we are moving to attack types. So attack types can be divided into three levels: network attacks, host attacks, and application attacks. So if you see any organization, these are the three types from where you can have an attack or intrusion. Okay. If you see the positioning of these appliances or divisions, so network is the first thing which is facing towards the public, but then you have applications which are published through different kind of tools. So the end user, he can access your web service from anywhere around the world. So that is very important when you are dealing in SOC. You should know that what kind of services that have been published externally, and what kind of traffic you are expecting. So you need to do some filtering based on your business needs, so that you can drop uh, some of the attacks from the beginning. For example, if you are not expecting any traffic from Russia, so you can filter this traffic, or you can block any kind of connection coming from Russia through the web application firewall. So here I have given some of the examples of what kind of attacks you can have from different types. In network attacks, you can have reconnaissance people or attackers basically. They try to scan, they try to perform reconnaissance, they try to gather information about what kind of ports, about what kind of services are running on your published services, on your router, on your firewall, and they try to find weaknesses which can give them access to your network. They do network scanning, they do port scanning, they can try to find your DNS footprinting, they can perform network sniffing. Then there are some attacks which are external network attacks, and some attacks which are internal network attacks. So depending on what kind of access the attacker have to the network. If they are still trying to find a way to get in, so they will try to first find out how they can get access to your network. But if they are already inside your network, then they will try to use different tools. Like they can use man in the middle attack, they can do some password attacks, they can do ARP poisoning, DHCP starvation, DHCP spoofing, a MAC spoofing. They can change the MAC, and they can use some Trojan or malwares. So my purpose here in today's session is to give you again a general overview about what is happening within the SOC and how we can deal with it. So I'm not going to discuss in detail about these attack types because it needs more time. And we may, once we complete the general overview of the SOC, then we may go to the next series where we can discuss in detail about these kind of attacks to have more understanding, and we can have some hands-on workshop as well. Okay, so Host attacks, so there can be malware infections. Attackers, they can put some malwares and some maybe a stealthy kind of malware which cannot be detected through a normal antivirus. Then there can be an unauthorized access. A person who is not allowed to access one of a server and he is accessing that server, so it means something is not good, something is not right. Privilege escalation. You can see that the user, his privileges are as a domain user, but you observe that this user he modify another user's password, which is not happening with the domain user. So you need to have more privileges. There can be data deletion, data encryption. These kind of attacks come under host attacks. Then from web application, these are the challenging one because usually most of the people in SOC they have knowledge about like basic network operations, system details. But dealing with the web application attacks, these are sort of advanced attacks because the hackers they try to use different kind of tools and techniques. There are SQL injection attacks, cross-site scripting. You can tamper the parameters, directory traversal, cross-site request forgery. Then you can have application level DOS attacks, uh, cookie poisoning attacks, session fixation. These are some kind of attacks which are usually you will see if you are working in SOC. So now, who are the attackers? What do we need to look for? So basically, uh, an attacker. There are different kind of attackers. There are script kiddies who try to use some kind of already inbuilt or already available scripts to do some activities for maybe fun, unless they are trying to learn. But then there are attackers who are advanced, who have like more skills. So these kind of attackers, they are called APTs, advanced persistent threats. Okay. So these APTs, they have something common or similar in their kind of work. If you want to like analyze what is happening or who is targeting you. So it's same like if there is a crime scene and police they want to look for the criminal. So what they are going to do, they are going to check for the profile or the activities this criminal he is performing. So they try to gather evidence or information which gives them some pattern, some behavior. So usually the APTs they have uh, there are habits which you cannot change. For example, if a person he like to use Nmap, he will always be using Nmap. He will not go to any other kind of tools to perform network scanning. So these are the habits which you build with the passage of time. So it's very difficult to change them. So they prefer to use these tools or things. So patterns of activities or methods associated with a specific threat actor or group. Okay, so these are the tactics, techniques, and procedures. So tactics, it's a strategy followed by an attacker to perform the attack from the beginning to the end. So you have defined some strategy, how you are going to attack, what information you need, what time of air you are going to attack. So you perform your reconnaissance, you gather your information. After that, you define a strategy. Once you define a strategy, then you have to choose a technique, what technique you are going to use. So it depends like what kind of tools or what kind of, for example, you might send a phishing email or you might drop a USB at the physical entrance of an organization. So these are the techniques, then procedures. So an organizational approach followed by the threat actors to launch the attack. So you define a strategy, then you choose your tools, and then you write a procedure so how you are going to attack. So basically, APTs, advanced persistent threats, so they have like targeted, coordinated, or purposeful, okay, attacks. Then they stay there month after month, year after year, okay, because their purpose or their mission is not just to like hack a website, deface it, and then just post on the social media that you hack a website. No, they have bigger objectives. Okay, Usually APTs are state sponsored. So APTs, they get access to your company, then they try to hide them from the security tools to stay there, to be persistent for a longer period of time. After that, they start observing what is happening within the network, gathering information, more information about the organization. Then they are trying to find valuable assets which can give them information, or maybe they can do data exfiltration. They might make it as a botnet to launch attack on other organizations. So it depends what is their target. So if you guys interested in reading more about APT groups and operations, so in this slide you can see I have provided a link. There is a Google spreadsheet. It's been made by multiple guys in the industries. They have shared their knowledge. So I have mentioned their names to, like, I thought their names should be there to know that these guys, they have done a lot of effort. So I'm not going to take pronounce their names, but you can, I have given their Twitter handles, so you may follow them. Okay, in case you want to learn more about security and what is happening. So these guys are a good resource to start with. Okay, now the thing is that in a SOC, okay, uh, it's very challenging to find threats or attacks. As a SOC, your organization or your management, they always have expectation, very high expectation. So they believe that each and every security incident, should be seen by SOC, and they should raise this as an incident, and they should take due action. But from my perspective, if you see, there are millions and millions of logs, okay, which you have to go through. So you cannot, even if you have a big team of analysts, still you cannot have a look at every single log. So what to do? So basically, there are two things. The first thing is that Lockheed Martin, they created a framework which is called cyber kill chain. So this cyber kill chain is very interesting if you read about it. So basically, the Lockheed Martin, they have created 7 steps. So if an attacker, he wants to have a full successful attack or compromise, he need to follow or go through all these steps from 1 to 7. Okay, only then the attacker, he can be successful. But for us as a SOC, we have an opportunity if we are able to discover them at any point of the phases of these kill chain, so we can stop them. But for that, as early we discover them, we can immediately stop them. But if we discover them towards the last phases, then it means there is more disaster has occurred. So let's see what are these phases. The very first phase of cyber kill chain is recon. So what the attacker will do, he will, like, trying to gather information from Google, trying to find email addresses, trying to look your the company's employees details over LinkedIn, over Twitter, over Facebook. So just gathering as much possible information to decide what kind of attack is going to launch. They can do a passive search. They can look for your published public IPs. They can perform port scanning. So this is the phase where you will not observe that the attackers, they are trying to gather your information, because usually they try to, at initial phase, get information from the search engine, that information which is published. After gathering all this information, then they might go to perform port scan to get more knowledge about your network. Then from first step, they move to the second step, which is called weaponization. So weaponization is, now you have the information of your target. Now you're deciding how you're going to attack them. What is the tool you need? It's like you're going to use an arrow or you're going to use a gun. So similarly, in cyber security field, so they can develop an exploit with payload creation, or they can use an existing malware, and they can use some kind of delivery systems, some decoys. So I remember when I was working in my previous organization, one of our users, he was trying to access one website, but with a spelling mistake, he accidentally accessed another website. This website was compromised, and the attacker was using it for CNC. So our security solution, it detected that website, and we got an alert. Then we checked, and we found that there's a full CNC installed on that website. After that, we informed the regulator, and they took the required actions. But this is like the attackers; they simply they just don't go and attack, but they create their strategy, and they put themselves on different platforms, on different websites, and different areas, so they can utilize them whenever they need it. Sorry. So now you have choose your weapon. Then you move to the next step. Now, how to deliver that tool which you have selected. So usually, what are the methods which you can use to deliver these tools? Are like spear phishing, infected websites, service providers, USB. Then you can once you choose how you are going to deliver this, then you can move to the next phase, which is like activation or execution. So you deliver a spear phishing email along with an attachment, and using some tools to evade the detection. The end user, he download that PDF file, he double click on that PDF file, and the PDF file executed. So after execution, the attacker, he got access to the system. Then from there he can choose to install any kind of Trojan or backdoor to maintain his presence, or to escalate the privileges. Okay. From there, he can establish his command and control. He can move from system to system. He can perform internal reconnaissance to see what is happening within the organization. And then he can start uh, exfiltrating the information which he is looking for. The last section, I'm going to make it short because I think we are left only with 10 minutes. So the last section is IoCs. IoCs are the indicator of compromise in computer forensics. Okay, so basically this gives us information about what kind of indicators are there, uh, which can tell us about if your system is breached or if there is something malicious going on. So these can be virus signatures, IP addresses, hashes, malware files, URLs, domains, botnets. So once you identify any of the compromise indicators, then you can take the action which is needed to respond to that incident. Okay. There are four types of IOCs. You can divide them into application security threats, network security threats, malware threats, and insider threats. So application security threats, these can be like unavailability of website, web service, applications, alerts, notifications you are receiving from WAF, SIEM or IDS, redirection of URLs, web page defacements, unusually slow network performance. So these are indicators which will tell you that there is something happening with your applications. So based on these, then you can perform further investigation to see what is going on. Network security threats, you'll be getting alert from the system, you'll be getting alert from the firewalls, IDS, honeypots, DMZ, antivirus alerts. Maybe you can see observe an unauthorized network privilege escalation, unavailability of networks. So whenever you receive such kind of alerts, or you can see the logs, then you need to perform more investigation to see what is going on there in the network. Malware threats, you can see abnormal network traffic flows, you can see outbound traffic, you can see unexplained bounce emails, your emails have been bounced back, or you can see system slowdown, or it takes longer time to reboot. So these are things which are not normal. Okay, so this comes under malware threats. Then the next is insider threats. This is a very critical part because the users, the insiders, they can be unaware or they can be intentional. So you can see multiple failed login attempts. Maybe the user is trying to access another user's account. You can see unusual time and location of access. So you're accessing from somewhere which is not usual. Uh, you are in the office, but you access from maybe another country. So these kind of things gives you an idea about a behavior which is not normal. So based on that, you perform your investigations. Then here are few tools which you can use and analysts you can use while performing investigation. So these are free or open source tools. Aristotle is a very good source in case you wanted to check IP reputation, hashes, domain information, URL information. You can use IP void or URL void to get more information about IPs, URLs. You can find use DNS dumpsters. There is Telos intelligence, which is very good to check for the email, especially email reputation from Cisco. Virus share spam house. Then you have from SANS, you can check on SANS portal about the reputation of the IPs, domains, hashes. You can use malwares.com. You can go to ThreatMiner. ThreatMiner is a good one because it fetch a lot of information from other existing search engines, so it gives you a full overview. You can use ransomware tracker to check about ransomware. There is ThreatCrowd, malware.com. If you want to check about phishing, you can use OpenFish, PhishTank. Then there is a tool from IBM, Exchange X-Force. You can use Pulse Drive, URL Scan, IO. Then again, there is a very good one from Alien Vault, and then you can use MX Toolbox. So an analyst, when he's performing investigations, so he need to use these tools. So these tools, most of them they have like free access. Some of them they provide some limitations. So after a certain number of queries, you cannot perform additional search on the same day. Then you have to either wait for the next day or you can buy their subscription. So this is how the tools are available. So each analyst, I think it depends on which tools he likes more or which tools he feels that he can get better information depending on that. So like this, you can choose your tools which you can use on daily basis whenever you see an external IP trying to access your network. So you wanted to know this IP, what is the origin of this IP, the country, what is the past history of this IP, is it malicious or there were malwares on this IP address which was downloaded or this IP was involved in any other kind of attacks. So these reputation you can gather from these tools. So this was our today's topic to discuss about cyber threats, attack methodologies, and IoCs. So I hope that I was able to give a good brief about these terms and technologies which are there for SOC. And in our next session, we are going to discuss about log analysis events and their detection. So for today, I would like to thank you everyone for taking your time to participate and join the session. Thanks again and have a good day. Bye bye.